Good morning, everyone. My name is Bethany Manimbo. I am the Supplier Diversity Engagement Manager here in the Montgomery County Office of Procurement. Welcome to our July 2024 online open house. Our guest speaker today is Corey Raymond and Crystal Ruiz from the Purple Line. They will talk about how to do business with the Purple Line today. We just want to reiterate that the Purple Line, all the solicitations and everything are not part of Montgomery County Office of Procurement. They have a completely separate solicitation process, but we are inviting them here as guests today to share some potential opportunities with you all as vendors in and around Montgomery County, Maryland. So we want to thank you for joining us today. As I stated earlier, this meeting is being recorded. And if you are not able to write down all the notes and things like that, we will share the PowerPoint on our website, and we will also have this recording available on our website as well. And I want to remind you all that our online open house is held the third Wednesday of every month from 10 to 11 a.m. The topics kind of rotate a little bit. This month is a Purple Line. We have a list of topics for our future online open houses on our website, and I will share that in the chat momentarily. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Corey Raymond from the Purple Line. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Bethany. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys giving us this platform to connect with your audience and your members and impart some information on the Purple Line. Hopefully we'll get some connectivity out of this open house. So I'm really looking forward to it. So I've just got a couple of other notes to add to Bethany's housekeeping. So she already shared with you guys that this is being recorded. So obviously, if you guys don't want to be on camera or be recorded, just go ahead and turn your cameras off. Or if you've got those nifty camera covers, you can just go ahead and slide it over and cover yourself. The presentation will be shared, as she stated. If you guys have questions or comments, we do ask that you keep your phones or computers on mute during the presentation, but if there's a specific question that you have, there's going to be a Q&A at the very end. We also have a chat feature. So if you guys have questions, you can go ahead and plug those in the chat. At the bottom, we'll monitor the chat, and then we can, if there's a good pausing point during the presentation, we'll pause, we'll speak to those. Otherwise, again, we'll wait until the very end, and we'll do the Q&A to make sure that everyone walks away with the information that they need. So with that, I'm going to share my screen here, and we'll get going with the presentation. All right, so again, my name is Corey Raymond. I'm with the Maryland Transit Solutions team. I'm the DBE and Workforce Diversity Program Manager. Ruiz, who is our Senior Compliance Coordinator on the project. And we've got Ola Awadia, who's on the call, one of my other compliance coordinators who's joining us here today. So if you have any questions about the project, these are the people who you will be primarily communicating with. We also have our Equal Employment Manager, Niambi Jarvis, on the call with us today as well. They'll just be listening in. I'm going to go through the presentation solo, but again, I just want to give awareness to everyone that we do have some presence from our team on this call. So what are we going to be covering? We're going to talk about who Maryland Transit Solutions is. We'll give you guys an overview of the Purple Line Transit project. At this point, I know a lot of you guys have been to outreach events with us. You've engaged with us in some form or fashion. But for those of you who haven't, I want to make sure that you know exactly who we are and what we're doing. Then we'll talk about the DBE program, which is a big reason why we're here. This project has a DBE goal on it, which is for minority and women-owned small businesses. So we'll be talking more about what those program requirements are. And then we'll talk to you guys about how the procurement process works on the project. So how do we conduct our outreach? What's our RFP and bidding process looking like? Once we actually have those bids, what's the contract review process? The purchase order engagement, obviously, is going to be a little bit different from the contract engagement. We'll highlight some current procurement opportunities or some opportunities that are going to be coming down the pike for you. And then again, we'll end with a Q&A, right? So let's go ahead and dive right in. Who is MTS? So MTS, Maryland Transit Solutions, is a joint venture. This joint venture is between Jergados and OHLA, two Spanish-based companies who are both have a pretty strong presence in the States. This project is a P3, a public-private partnership. So the structure is a little bit different here. MTS doesn't have a direct contract with the owner. As you guys can see from the very top of this diagram here, we've got MDOT and MTA. They actually own the project. They are the owners of the Purple Line Transit project. Because of the P3 structure, the way to get these projects going, these major projects going a lot faster, is to get a private financer. And that's where Purple Line Transit Partners comes in. So they are what we call the concessionaire or the finance piece of this project. They're bringing the money to the table so that we can expedite the construction. They've got the direct contract with MTA and MDOT. They obviously aren't a contractor, so they needed to go out and find contractors who can actually build out the project for them and MTA. That's where we come in. So MTA has contracted PLTP. PLTP has contracted MTS or Maryland Transit Solutions to do the design build. We've got two dedicated subcontractors working with us that we'd like to highlight. CAF is doing all of the light rail vehicles or LRV, and Atkins is our lead designer. So all the design work for the project was managed under Atkins. Another thing that I'd like to note under this structure is PLTO or Purple Line Transit Operators. These guys are the team that's going to take this project and operate and maintain it for the next, I believe, 30 years after we are done with the construction. So there's going to be another O&M, operations and maintenance phase to this project, where there's going to be another DBE goal and another layer or level of engagement for the small business community in the Maryland area. So I want to make sure to highlight that because that's giving you guys the heads up to not disengage with us because you think the contracting opportunities have ended. Even if we award everything on construction, once construction is done, then we move into the O&M, and then we've got again another wave of contractors that we need to engage with to help us operate and maintain this line for the long haul. Okay, so again, stay tuned, stay in tune with us, stay connected, and we'll make sure to share that information as it becomes available. So what are we doing? What is the Purple Line Transit project? This is a 16.2 mile, 21 station light rail project. So we are going from New Carrollton to Bethesda or Bethesda to New Carrollton, depending on where you are, connecting Prince George's to Montgomery County. We're also connecting to the WMATA stations at 4 different interchanges. So if you guys look at this map here, I like to explain this as like our glove to a mitt. So we've got our glove, DC here in the palm. All the trains go around DC and then they kind of shoot out into the suburbs at different points. So right now, in order to get from, let's say, New Carrollton to Bethesda, you have to go into the city, transfer, and then come back out. Essentially, what Purple Line is going to do is turn the glove into a mitt, and we just cap the fingertips so that you can get from one point to the other point without having to transfer into the city and come back out. So it's really going to accelerate transit in this region. So here, again, we connect with the orange line at New Carrollton. We connect with the yellow and green line at the College Park station, and we connect to the red line at the Silver Spring and the Bethesda stations. We also connect to the MARC rail at 3 different lines and the Amtrak Northeast corridor as well down in the New Carrollton area. A couple of really cool and important benefits that I wanted to share. I'm not going to spend too much time here, but again, we are going to share this presentation so you guys will have this to refer back to, but it is one of the few light rail projects that actually connects 2 different counties. So that's pretty unique. And then again, we are tying into different modal connectors. A couple of really quick stats about the LRVs. These are also really cool, a lot bigger than the traditional light rail vehicle that we see throughout the nation. These guys are going to have 80 seat availability, 400 standing room capacity. They have low floors, wide doorways to allow for disabilities and wheelchairs to come on, and then also with bike storage. I'd like to dive into the DBE program now. So again, this is the big reason why we're here. We want to make sure that we are talking about the DBE program, highlighting the certification process and getting small businesses engaged in this program. So with every federally funded project, you have a DBE goal. The way the regulation works is basically 1 cent of federal funds means that you now have a DBE program that you need to enact on your project. So the goals are supposed to be narrowly tailored. Meaning that they're looking at all of the various procurement opportunities or scope opportunities on the project, looking at their database of certified firms, looking at competing projects, so on and so forth, and they come up with a goal that should be right for the project. So this project has a 22% DBE goal for construction phase activity. The point behind the DBE program is to grow your company, provide experience for future projects. Basically, we want to make sure that we are creating some lasting legacy for businesses in this area. A big project comes through the area. We get a lot of small businesses connected to us, work on this project. You can use this as a jump off to other opportunities. And we realize that that is the case. So we're trying to bring in, again, as many small businesses as possible. Our plan to assist you. So what are we doing on our end to make sure that we can actually engage with small businesses and not just using it as a talking point? So we're making our bidding packages small and more feasible. We've got a one access point for all bidding opportunities, Building Connected, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Again, we've been unbundling a lot of our larger packages to make them more feasible for small businesses. We have a single point of contact for each bid package to make it really easy for communication. You guys aren't going through the organization trying to figure out who you should be talking to for each package. Everything is very streamlined. We have got a pretty comprehensive project website, which we'll highlight in a minute, which shows everything that we're doing on the project. So we wanted to really create a mode of transparency for you guys so that it's easy to stay connected and easy to see what opportunities there are on the project. So with the DBE certification, we wanted to make sure that everyone knew that this is an MDOT DBE program. Because this is an MDOT DBE program, we can only accept certifications from MDOT certified firms. We know that there are a lot of firms who may be certified in the DC area or in Virginia. If you are not certified with Maryland, we need you to do so because we can't claim DBE credit for any firms that are certified anywhere outside of the state. A couple of really quick certification requirements for you. Your firm does have to be a for-profit business, and at least 51% or more needs to be owned by the socially and economically disadvantaged individuals for you to even qualify for DBE certification. Okay, we both work with MTA and within ourselves to host certification trainings to support the certification process. There's also an expansion of services form that I like to highlight. So if you are DBE certified, what happens is you will be certified for a specific type of work. Sometimes firms will expand their services over the course of years. And to make it easier, they submit the affidavit, no change, just to make it easier for themselves. That means that your certifications aren't growing with your scopes. So it's really important that if you guys are expanding your services, that you go through that expansion of services process to get your NAICS codes updated. Why are the NAICS codes important? The NAICS codes are the North American Industry Classification System that's implemented to really help us identify what sort of work each firm can perform. So we can't have a firm as a small business certified as a DBE and they just say, we can do whatever it is you want us to do. You find yourself in a lot of trouble doing that. People will try and create companies for a project, which isn't really a viable thing. So you go into the certification, basically showing proof that you've done certain work in the past performance. They will certify you for specific types of work. And then again, you can always add more to that scope. They've got different classification or series coding, a number coding system that helps to classify. So the 2 series is generally for construction type scopes. 3 series is generally for manufacturing scopes. The 4 series are for suppliers and dealers. And the 5 series is generally for professional service type scopes. Any questions about any of this, feel free to reach out and I can provide more clarity on the NAICS codes, any suggestions on what those NAICS codes look like, so on and so forth. Okay. So now let's talk about the outreach process for the project. So this team has a very robust outreach process that we engage small businesses in. The first thing that we do is we're going to send out a notice of interest, or NOI, to every single firm that is registered as a DBE in the MDOT database. We want to make sure that we are casting a very wide net to make sure that anyone who could be a potential option for us, or a viable option for us, knows that the opportunity even exists. Outside of the NOI going out to everyone, which is, there's an example here in this notification that you guys can see. This is what our notice of interest looks like. It'll have the simple scope description so that you know exactly what work we're looking to bid and engage you in. And then it's got a notice of interest button here. So if you are interested, you just click this notice of interest button, and this is a way for you to submit your interest virtually so that we can add you to the RFP in Building Connected. Outside of this notice of interest, we also have a targeted call effort that we conduct based on those NAICS codes. So let's use this RFP for an example. We've got guardrail supply and we've got erosion and sediment control. So what we do in this situation, once this NOI is sent, we look at the NAICS codes that are mostly applicable for the guardrails supply and installation, and we look for the NAICS codes that are most directly applicable to the erosion and sediment control. We pull call lists for firms that have those certifications, and then we have a call team that literally makes direct phone calls to every single firm that's certified and registered in MDOT with those NAICS codes. Again, we want to make sure that you aren't missing an opportunity. If you don't want the opportunity, that's a totally different conversation, but we want to make sure that you are at least aware of it, and making sure that we can assist you in any way if you do want to engage with the team for bidding. All interested firms are vetted. We want to make sure that you've got the right certification, make sure that you are MDOT certified, and then you get added to our bid list, sent to the contracts department, and then you get added to the RFP. Another way to stay in the loop of all things procurement on the project is to check out our website. So this is a quick snapshot of what the project website looks like: marylandtransitsolutions.com. We've got this QR code here, so if you scan this QR code, it'll automatically take you to the website. If you guys look up top, we've got a couple of titles here. The DDE program is where you want to go. So when you hover over DDE program, you've got a drop-down menu. It'll take you to the contract opportunities. When you go to the contract opportunities page, we've got Building Connected, which is our bidding platform, embedded directly into the project website. So again, Building Connected is just a general, you can go to the buildingconnected.com, register there, but it doesn't necessarily bring you into the Purple Lines procurement opportunities. Okay, so you have to get invited to those opportunities, or you can go to the website and see everything that we've got open, see what's been closed. You can see who the interested bidders were. It's got a lot of information there for you. So in the case that you wanted to either join and just bid directly for something that you may not have been contacted for, or if you wanted to pass that information on to another subcontractor, let's say that you partner with another sub, for example, that RFP that we showed, the guardrail supply and installation. Let's say that maybe you're a supplier and you know a firm that does the installation. Hey guys, we just saw this notice of interest come out for Purple Line. We want to make sure that you guys are aware of it. Let's partner and let's bid on this. You know, we want to make sure that you guys have the information to do so. So that is the outreach process. Now let's go into the actual bidding process. So what happens once we have gone through the engagement, we've identified firms that are interested, we've created our RFP, and now we want to actually engage with you guys for pricing. So this is kind of the start to finish on RFP building. So we get a notice from the engineering side. They need a contract. So the email is sent with the contract request. We need a scope description. We need the takeoff. We need the design drawings, and we need the extract from special specifications if that's applicable. So then our team would take that work description, that scope of work description. That's what we use to create the NOI and send out. While the contracts team is using that information to actually build the RFP in Building Connected. So once that RFP has been built in Building Connected, firms have been identified. We've provided the DBE options to the contracts team. Everything gets loaded into Building Connected, all of the packages, any plans or specs that are necessary for you guys to submit a comprehensive bid, it's all going to be uploaded into that RFP. There's a Q&A link in there as well so that you can communicate on specific RFPs directly within Building Connected and directly within that RFP. That's really important because if you guys have questions, they may be questions that other bidders have. Vice versa, if they have questions, they may be questions that you had, or maybe something that you didn't even consider. You see the response, and it's like, oh, okay, this is good information. Now I can fine tune my bid and make it a little bit tighter. Okay, so make sure that if you guys do have questions, make sure to communicate that through Building Connected so that you can get those responses and tighten up your bid. Okay. So once the RFP has been released on Building Connected, it's open for, let's say, 2 to 4 weeks. If there's a need for an extension, I've seen many extensions granted in the RFP process. So again, if that's something that you need, make that request and the contracts team can determine if they have the leeway to extend that RFP, or if it's a critical item, they may not be able to. So again, that dialogue can be had up front, but you don't know unless you ask, right? So then once the RFP closes, this is what we do to review. So we've got the request for quote package. We've got our Building Connected outreach. We compile all that, and the quotes are compiled and they go through a technical analysis. We have pre-award meetings if we need to clarify anything. And then we route a comparative matrix. So in that comparative matrix, any of the viable firms that bid, DBE and non, are all put on this comparative matrix and routed to the management and the executive team for review. And then a determination is made on the best bidder. Factors that we, or elements that we consider when awarding a contract. DBE threshold is definitely going to be one of those things that we're looking at. So whether this firm is fully a DBE themselves and they're bringing credit based on the work that they're doing, or if this is a non-DBE firm, are they providing us with lower tier DBE options that can, again, feed towards the overall project goal? Other elements are past experience. Have you done this work before? Have you done it successfully before? Your crew availability. Do you actually have the crews available that we need to perform the work? What's the technical review like? We want to make sure that we've got a team that is technically sound and really understands the work. We're looking at safety records, and then we make an internal decision based on those factors, and we call that our best value approach. Okay. Purchase orders. We handle purchase orders a little differently because it's not a traditional contract. These are typically going to be for materials, or for quick service. For purchase orders, the purchasing department will receive internal material requisition. So someone says, "Hey, I need these materials," or "I need this service." We've got people within the contracts department who are specific to purchasing. They'll reach out and they want to look for at least 3 competitive quotes. Our team is also a part of that. So when we have a request for a PO, we still get the opportunity to do DBE solicitation. We send out the NOI. Hey, we've got this as an opportunity. If you're a viable supplier, go ahead and submit yourself as interested. Those DBE firms get added to any of the non-DBEs that were identified. And then again, we want to make sure that we engage in those bids. We get those 3 quotes. They go through review. A vendor is selected based on price, availability, and or service, also the DBE participation and threshold, as we talked about with the contracts. Once a selection has been made, a PO will be sent to the awarded vendor. PO will consist of the quoted pricing, the ship information, and the point of contact. Okay. The vendor should review the PO, make sure that they agree on the pricing as well as terms and conditions, execute, and then we're good to go. So what I want to end on is procurement opportunities. So what are the current opportunities that we've got for the Purple Line project? They are few and far between. You know, we are going to be contracting throughout the life of the project because of the structure of this project being a P3. Not all of the design was done up front. So things are changing as we go through. It's called design services during construction. It's still happening. So as we have different spec changes, as we have things added to the project, any sort of changes may prompt new contract awards. Also, if we've got subcontractors who may have bid off more than they can chew, we obviously want to make sure that we supplement and bring on other subcontractors who can assist. So any of the services where we've got non-DBEs awarded and we need assistance or we need additional subcontractors to support, we're automatically going to look to the DBE community as a carve out, more or less, to say, all right, if we're going to pull part of this work from a non-DBE, we want to make sure that we're giving this work to a DBE firm. Okay, so there are some things that we're doing behind the scenes to make sure that this isn't a one and done thing. We are continuing to find opportunities, continuing to fine tune our approach, and continuing to comb through all of our contract opportunities to make sure that we can pull anything up to the surface to engage with the DBE community. So I'll leave this slide up here for a second here so that you guys can get an idea of what we're going to be looking for. Crane rental and services, we know this one is a little niche. Not a ton of DBEs do this, but if we can get a DBE to do it, we would love to. Engineering consulting services, on-site repair services, and this is with the equipment, so this is like mechanical, qualified rigger training, vacuum truck services, concrete pumping, safety training, and rail drilling. So if you guys perform any of these scopes of work, please reach out to us immediately after this event. You guys can see here that we have not sent out the NOI for these scopes yet, and the anticipated timeline. So the top section of this, we anticipate engaging during this quarter for all of these RFPs up top. And then the last two, the ones at the bottom, will be more towards the end of the year. So Q4 2024, we'll be looking to engage for safety training and rail drilling. Okay. There was a question that came through about Purple Line needing photography and video services. We actually just solicited we just sent out an NOI for video services. So connect with the team. I'm not sure if the RFP has closed because I know that we did do DBE solicitation, provided the viable options to the contracts team, and they engaged. So at the end of this, make sure to reach out to Crystal or myself and engage. So speaking of, actually, let me put up our contact information here. So this is my team. Myself here at the top, Corey Raymond, DBE Workforce Development Program Manager. We've got Crystal and Ola, their contact information there as well. So again, please reach out to us and let us know if you guys can perform any of those scopes or services that we showed. If it is something that was already bid out, we'll check to see if there's time for you to submit a bid. If not, obviously we can relay that information to you and then keep you in the loop for anything else that comes down the pike. Okay. So with that, I know I've been talking at you guys for a while now. I want to take a minute, catch my breath, and let you guys pose any questions that you may have for me, either about the project, about our process, about procurement opportunities, whatever the case may be. We've got the audience. Let's go ahead and get those questions answered.
So we do have a question in the chat. This person is saying, I'm a part of a daddy and daughter baking company called Cookie Yay. We are looking for micro purchase contract opportunities for meetings, employee appreciation, and special events. This would be in the category of NAICS code dessert catering.
Okay. Um, for this individual, what I would suggest is I want to do two things. So this is something that is definitely unique and niche. It's not something that we would typically be doing outreach for, if we're being honest here. Um, so what I would suggest is go to the project website, register yourself as an interested vendor because you should be in our database if you aren't already. The second thing that I would suggest is to reach out to myself and Crystal and state that you want to be connected to the office manager for Purple Line. If there's going to be any sort of office appreciation, if there's going to be any lunches ordered, any catering, it's always going to be done through the office manager. She's got her own list of vendors that she goes through. So what I'd like to do is connect you to her directly so that she knows that you are a viable option and that you're interested. And if it's something that she sees as a good fit for the project, then she can engage and get more detail from you about what specific services you have, the quantity that you'd be able to provide, that sort of thing. She can dive into details with you.
Okay, and then we have a question. Do you accept MBE certification?
So thank you for that question. So we want to be sure to let you guys know we are not discouraging MBEs from engaging with us. We aren't discouraging any firm from engaging with us, right? If you have if you can perform the services that we're looking for, we welcome you to engage with us and to bid. However, because this project is federally funded, we can only look at the DBE certification for credit. We can't have competing goals. So the state can't put an MBE and a DBE goal in the project. We have to just adhere to the DBE goal. So if you aren't DBE certified, I highly recommend you look into that certification. But as an MBE, again, we still want you to engage with us. So again, if you are a viable option, engage no matter the certification status. We've got just as many non-DBEs as DBEs working on the project. So we don't want the DBE certification to discourage you from bidding.
So just a follow-up question. So would a firm need to be, could they bid on a project if their certification is kind of in process, or do they need to be DBE certified before they respond to a
They could
solicitation?
they could bid at any point. We just wouldn't be able to claim credit if they weren't certified. But
Okay,
if you come in as a good contracting option, again, if it doesn't matter the certification status, if you are the best option for the work. It does work in your benefit if you're DBE because let's say that we've got a DBE and a non-DBE bid, and they're both pretty much neck and neck. We're going to lean towards the DBE because we can get the credit for the project goal. So it does work in your favor to be DBE certified, but it also, again, we're engaging with any firm.
okay, thank you.
Mhm.
And if anybody has any questions that you want to ask, you can feel free to unmute yourself, turn on your camera, or you can put it in the chat box, whatever you're comfortable with.
Yep. Actually, Bethany, real quick, can I actually expand a little bit on the question that you had about the DBE and
Sure.
contracting? I think it might be important to state that a part of the regulation for DBE credit and DBE certification is that the DBE must be certified at the point of contract execution. So let's say that you are a small business, you're a small minority business, you've submitted your certification you've submitted your application for DBE certification. It's pending. You haven't gotten the official award yet, but you've gone through the process. And now you're just in that kind of limbo period where they're reviewing and waiting to approve you. That generally takes about 3 months. If you were to be awarded a contract or we did want to engage with you, let's say that this wasn't critical work, but you were the best option and we were waiting for that DBE certification to happen, what we might want to do on our end is pause on executing the contract until you have that DBE certification. Once you have the DBE certification, then we go ahead and proceed with the contract execution so that we can claim credit. Because if we do it the reverse, if we execute the contract before you're certified and then you get certified during the contract, we can't claim credit on anything that you performed when you weren't certified. Okay, so we lose credit in that way. So there are some things that we can do to, I don't want to say work around the process, work within the process, should I say. Okay.
Hey, Corey, this is Al
Yes.
Potts. How you doing?
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Hey, look, just following up on the MBE portion to encourage those who hold a certification as a minority business enterprise. And understanding that, yes, this is DBE, and that's where the credit will go for that participation. As it relates to the participation of those certified MBEs with MDOT, will the state be will the state be imposing any goals for that particular group to participate and to encourage and provide the incentive for these prime contractors to use that group that holds that certification?
On this project, they can't. On other projects that are state and locally funded, they absolutely can. Any of the projects that MTA and MDOT have that are federally funded, they don't have a choice. If they're going to accept the federal funding, they have to accept the strings and the stipulations that come with those funding sources. So again, it always ties back to who's paying the bill. The feds are paying the bill in this case, so they're the ones that get to call the shots, and they say, "We're giving you money. You've got a DBE program." The feds don't have an MBE program.
Right.
So one thing to note is that most MBEs qualify for DBE certification.
Sure.
So if you don't have the DBE certification but you are an MBE, definitely look into the DBE certification.
Okay.
Because chances are that you will qualify.
Okay. So it does, who the person who makes the rules, have the goal. So I do understand that. I just want to gain a better understanding in terms of the funding. This is 100% funding that's coming from the federal government. There's no
Not 100%. No. Nope. Remember, the regulation is 1 penny, one cent of federal funding means that you've got a DBE program.
And that includes any funding in any part of the funding coming from the state.
Yep.
Okay.
So what they would have to do in order to, because I get where you're going with this, what they would have to do is sit down and create a very complicated structure to say, from this piece of funding, we're going to have a DBE goal, and we're going to carve that out, and we're going to track against this budget. And for this budget that came through that state, we're going to have an MBE goal, and we're going to have a goal on this. And then for this that came, it will get really complicated and convoluted. Agencies have tried it. It's not successful, so most don't do it. I've been on projects that have tried that, and it gets so complicated and so convoluted that somebody is going to, one of the programs is going to falter because you're trying to do too much as opposed to focusing on something and doing it really well. The project that I was on, there's a project that I was on in San Diego that tried to do that. They had a DBE goal, and they had what they called a small business objective, because again, you can't have competing goals. So you can't have a DBE goal and an SBE goal. They're competing now. DBE goal, small business objective. So at every outreach event that we had, they wanted us to make sure that we highlighted both of those things. It made it so confusing for the contracting community that they just decided like a year or two in, scratch the SBE conversation. We'll look at every firm that comes through, and if they have the small business certification, then we'll claim it on the background, but we don't want it to be a talking point anymore because it's creating too much confusion for everyone.
But that confusion can be homogenized with the specifics. But I do understand that if it's a funding situation, that would complicate it. But It can be done. I mean, I can't buy what you just said, because even though it may be tried in one aspect, but there's other avenues, in my opinion, that can be, also, carried out. But
yeah, if you have examples, please impart, because I'm here to learn from you guys just as much as you're here to learn from me. Because to your point, I haven't seen everything, right? I've only been exposed to what I've been exposed to.
Well, given the situation, the money is tied to this, so it can't go any further than that.
Yeah.
Okay,
But yeah,
thank you.
I'm always open to hearing from you guys on things that you've seen on other projects, things that you've seen in other areas. Please, by all means, give me any knowledge that you can impart on me, because it just helps to build a stronger program, right? And then I can, if there's something that makes sense for me to create and argue in defense of including dot dot dot, then I'm more than happy to do so.
Thank you, Corey and Al, for this exchange. I do see there's another question in the chat box. Maybe we should move on to the
Okay, go for it.
Bethany, you want to? Yeah.
I think we answered most of the questions in the chat box. So far, yes, but if anyone else, any of the attendees want to ask any additional questions, feel free to unmute yourself and or type it in the chat box.
Absolutely. And I want to state, I believe Crystal put the project website in the chat.
So we have a question. Could you please provide me with the speaker's contact information? If you all could put that in the chat box. All right, okay, I see it here.
So we'll go back to this slide here. And this is, again, my name is Corey Raymond. I'm at the top here. And then my team, Crystal and Ola. And again, for whoever asked that question, we will be sharing this. So all of our contact information is going to come to you direct in a PDF version of this presentation.
And then we have a new question. As a new DBE getting into, for example, the crane rental services, I would rely on bigger contractors from who I would lease equipment or partner with them. So as a result, I rely on the experience of the bigger company. I would respond to the proposal, but then subcontract to the bigger company. Would this be okay?
So that would be okay. We encourage partnering. But one thing that I do want to state here is that a part of the federal regulation states, if you guys are familiar with the CUF provision, commercial use or function, CUF states that in order for a DBE to be a viable company, they have to perform at bare minimum 30% of their contract. So in this situation, if you were partnering with a larger firm and you were just the administrative or you were just the connection and you had like an upcharge on what they were performing, you probably wouldn't maintain that 30% provision to be DBE viable. But also just note that anything that's performed for a non-DBE, we have to remove from our credit. So I'll give you an example here. Let's say that in this situation, we have $100,000 contract that's signed or $100,000 PO that's signed for the equipment. If let's say that you subbed out 70,000 of it to a non-DBE, we could only claim the 30,000 that you performed as a DBE towards our goal, and we lose the other 70,000 that the non-DBE performed. Okay. Let's say that you had $100,000 credit, $100,000 contract. You subbed out $80,000 of it to that non-DBE, and you kept 20,000 for the management. At that point, you dip below that 30%, so we can't claim any credit towards DBE goal. Okay.
Okay. And then we have a question. Could you share more about the safety training?
So right now, I cannot. The safety training, I believe, is a Q4. Let me pull that slide up again. Yeah, so the safety training is a Q4 scope. So we haven't gotten into the weeds with the safety manager to pull those scope details just yet. So what I would do is reach out to us directly and we can connect you with the safety manager to get those details if he's able to provide that to you now. But if he can't, then we may have to wait a couple of months until he's got time to actually pull together his scope description so that we can engage with you guys. We just know that this is something we've talked to the entire team, And we know that this is a scope that we're going to be looking to re-engage with firms later down the line.
And you may have covered this already, but just curious, how long do you anticipate having procurement opportunities? How long is the construction going to take?
Construction right now, I actually didn't cover this, so thank you for that question. Construction right now is set to go through 2027. So as far as I know, we're going to have procurement opportunities from now through 2027. They are going to taper off significantly. Like if you guys recall, 2022, 2023, we had a ton of procurements that were coming out every single week. A lot of procurement opportunities were coming down the pike. And then we also have a few major subcontractors, Hensel Phelps, MC Dean, C3M, those guys who have the bigger, more complicated pieces of the project. They have DBE goals, so they have to bring on lower tiers. So outside of MTS, doing direct contracting, we also had a handful of major partners who were doing lower tier contracting with firms in the area as well. So again, we're going to have opportunities throughout the life of the project, but they are going to be diminished as we get closer to that end date. But then they reinvigorate when PLTO comes on because we have to re-engage small businesses for the operations and maintenance side. So opportunities with MTS will go away. Opportunities with PLTO will then rise to the surface.
Okay, thank you.
And it's my goal to work with the PLTO team on the transition. So once they put their team in place, my team is going to work with them on outreach, connectivity. What scopes do you guys have that you can front load so that we can let the DBE community know while we still have the audience, and then do a handoff, do an introduction to the PLTO team, talk about how to get involved with them and what their process is. We'll definitely do that.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any more questions from the audience, either in the chat or if you'd like to unmute yourselves and ask the question?
I think that means we did a good job, definitely.
All right. Seeing no questions for the purple line, I just want to open it up. Does anybody have any questions for the Office of Procurement for us?
The PLTO team, when will that be built?
They've already been built. However, their DBE team or their contracts or procurement team, that's not going to be for a while. I believe the goal is to have them start to create their program 2 years before handoff, which means that we have until next year for them to have to do anything. So it's still going to be a little bit of a wait for that. Remember, we go until 2027. So that 2 year prior, 2025, sometime next year, we'll start getting more details about them. And then leading towards the end of 2025, beginning of 2026, you're going to be hearing all about PLTO.
And we have a question. When will you build Photo Team?
I'm sorry,
The
that
photo
was
team.
okay. Yeah.
I was going to say the photo team is actually already being built. That was one of the opportunities that I was saying we solicited, and the RFP, I believe, just closed. So what I would do is reach out to Crystal directly. She's got probably the closest relationship to the contracts manager. She can pose that question on whether or not we can still add any firms to bid, because I know the RFP did close recently for that.
Okay. Are there any questions for the Office of Procurement? Okay. I want to thank you, Corey and Crystal, for joining us today for providing this wonderful presentation. If you, we will share the PowerPoint and we will share the video recording on our website. I'm going to take a moment and just show you where you can find it on our website. So I will share my screen and just show you where you can find that on our website. Let's see, share screen. All right, so this is our website, montgomerycountymd.gov/pro. This is our homepage. If you haven't done so already, I'm just going to put in a plug. Please sign up for our newsletter. Our newsletter goes out every week. So you can sign up for our newsletter there. We have our calendar of events here on our homepage. If you're looking for the PowerPoint from this presentation, we will put it in on this page. So go to outreach events and it'll be in the online open house section. So we'll put that there. And here's a list of our future topics for the open house. Next month in August, it's a general session. So that means we don't have a topic. The general session is how our open house kind of was traditionally set up a few years ago, where we are just answering questions from the audience, providing information to vendors. So we don't have a set agenda for August. So please bring all your questions for the procurement team in August. We'll have a topic again in September, MFD and local business programs overview, and the rest of the topics are listed here. We will also very shortly post on our website information about our fall in-person event. And you can look out for that within the next week or so on our website. That'll be in September. Does anybody have any questions before we close out today? All right, well, I want to thank you all for joining us. Thank you to the Purple Line for providing this presentation. If you have any questions about the presentation, that it will be available on our website. All right, thank you
for having us, Bethany.
You're welcome.
We really appreciate it, Bethany Engren. So we appreciate you guys giving us this platform. Anytime we can partner and provide information for you guys and your members, please, let's do so.
Will do. Thank you.
All right. Thanks everyone
Thank you,
for
everyone.
attending. We appreciate you.
Have a nice day and stay cool.
Thank you.